It was this is so dramatic, but I felt like my soul was leaving before. I knew I was probably going to die. It wasn't what it should have been, which is losing my terrific husband, getting fired.
While Hollywood often celebrates the rise of stars from humble beginnings, not every success story leads to a happy conclusion. Some of the most inspiring rags-to-riches tales take unexpected turns, with celebrities facing struggles like addiction, mental health issues, or financial missteps. How do these challenges lead to such a drastic fall from grace? Can fame and fortune ever truly shield someone from life's hardest battles? Join as we uncover the truth behind the reasons celebrities go broke. Butler, the actress most famous for her roles in Grace Under Fire, the hugely popular 90s sitcom show, has gone public with her financial difficulties, admitting she is broke. A friend recently set up a GoFundMe campaign to help her cover her bills, but Butler, now 63, admitted that she probably waited too long before accepting the help. She shared with The Hollywood Reporter that she'd fallen 6 months behind on rent and was at a crisis financially. By the time of her career peak, Butler was earning a whopping $250,000 per episode. But even with her success, she faced a financial dilemma. The sitcom Grace Under Fire was based on her own life experiences, such as her struggle with alcohol misuse and the experience of domestic abuse in a marriage. The ABC serial, which aired from 1993 through 1998, is a story about Butler's character, who is a single parent raising her 3 children on her own after a violent relationship with the father. Looking back on those years, Butler admitted that the pressure of being on television played a major role in her addiction to Vicodin. She had been prescribed the painkiller to manage her sciatica, but things quickly spiraled out of control. She reported that, by the time of the series' conclusion, she had evolved to be virtually impossible to work with, having even gone so far as recognizing that she had been in such a state that she could only recall shooting approximately 80 of the series' 112 episodes. She also talked about the difficulties that she had with addiction, confessing that the drugs had taken her out of reality altogether. In hindsight, she believed the show should have been canceled even earlier than it was. But after the series ended, she was able to recover and got sober. Alas, sobriety did not protect her from the challenges of financial distress. Financial irresponsibility and exploitation by people she held dear took a heavy toll on her. According to Butler, she had been too trusting with the people who worked for her, and as a result, she had a lot of things stolen. She now regrets not having insurance to protect her belongings. She further confessed she had unthinkingly donated and loaned out substantial sums of money. She explained that having such a large sum of money made her feel guilty, and she often felt the need to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Her financial troubles were further worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, which made it even harder for her to recover. Since then, with the support of her friend's GoFundMe page, she is trying to stand up again. How does a life dedicated to giving and making others happy lead to such a devastating financial collapse? And who will be there when the tables turn? A life of giving, now in crisis. For decades, Ed McMahon was a familiar face in American entertainment. He was Johnny Carson's right hand on The Tonight Show, ensuring billions of people have a laugh in their living room each week. He helped aspiring starlets realize their dreams on Star Search. He played a role in making people rich through the American Family Publishers sweepstakes. He even served his country in 2 wars. However, today, following a life of generosity and hospitality, McMahon is facing trouble. The question is, who will help him now? McMahon, who once earned millions during his 50-year career, is now facing foreclosure on his Beverly Hills home. Reports say that he is facing almost $644,000 in delinquencies on a principal of nearly $5 million home loan. Unfortunately, that's just the tip of the iceberg. His financial troubles didn't stop there. American Express won a legal judgment against him for nearly $750,000 in unpaid bills, and a company based in Washington, Hicks Inc., sued him for an unpaid loan of $135,000. Though he later settled with Hicks Inc., reducing the amount owed to $51,000, his total debt still stands at nearly $1.5 million. One of the biggest reasons McMahon is in this mess seems to be his generosity. According to David Fisher, who co-authored McMahon's autobiographies For Laughing Out Loud and When Television Was Young, McMahon had a bad habit of distributing money. Fisher described him as someone who genuinely loved making people happy, often to his own detriment. He also remembered that McMahon often tipped generously, giving out money to pretty much anyone who assisted him. Fisher noted it as an expensive way of life. Another financial strain came from McMahon's efforts to support his third wife, Pam, in launching a clothing business. The line, sold in prestige boutiques such as Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus, was even a hit with celebrities such as Paula Abdul and Sharon Stone. Nevertheless, in spite of its short-lived fame, it did not work, and a lot of money was wasted. Meanwhile, McMahon's income was drying up. Despite being an integral part of The Tonight Show for 30 years, he claimed he didn't receive any residuals from the successful DVD box set sales of the show. Not to mention, 1.5 years ago he received a serious injury due to a fall, and he fractured his neck. That left him unemployed, with the result of increasing his situation of financial difficulty. Even after his injury, Fisher recalled that McMahon was so committed to his work that instead of prioritizing his health, he insisted on reviewing the manuscript for When Television Was Young before seeking medical attention. His spokesperson, Howard Bragman, attributed McMahon's financial downfall to a mix of unfortunate circumstances, including poor health, a struggling economy, and a collapsing housing market. Bragman also noted that despite facing his own hardships, McMahon remained empathetic toward others who had worked their entire lives only to find themselves in similar financial crises. Ed McMahon spent a lifetime making people happy, encouraging the creative talents of other aspiring entertainers, and freely helping those who surrounded him. Now, as he faces one of the hardest times of his life, it remains uncertain who will step up to help him in return. Can fame really shield someone from the harshest realities, or does it just delay the inevitable? A sad ending for a TV icon. Erin Moran, best known for her role as Joni Cunningham on the beloved TV show Happy Days, once enjoyed fame and success. However, for the years before her untimely passing, her life was far from blissful. On the brink of financial ruin, depression, and homelessness, the actress lost herself, seemingly, far from the glittering screens of Hollywood. Moran reportedly spent her final years in dire conditions. At one point, she and her husband, Steve Fleischman, were forced to live in his elderly mother's trailer after losing their California home to foreclosure in 2010. They had received a settlement of $65,000 from a lawsuit, but that money quickly ran out. However, they got even worse when Moran was allegedly involved in a brawl after consuming alcohol, causing her to be expelled from the trailer park. From that moment onwards, she roamed between cheap motels, with accounts of seeing her looking unkempt outside in 2012. Her financial situation was so dire that she and several of her Happy Days co-stars, Anson Williams, Marion Ross, Don Most, and the widow of Tom Bosley, filed a $10 million lawsuit against CBS. They alleged that the network had failed to deliver to them royalties from the sale of Happy Days merchandise as due under contract. The lawsuit became public knowledge, highlighting just how financially unstable Moran had become. Although some former colleagues did try to aid them, there was only so much that they could contribute. Henry Winkler, who played Happy Days' fan favorite Fonzie, reportedly attempted to get her a role on Arrested Development, a Netflix show in which he appeared. His efforts were meant to help Moran get back on her feet, especially since it had become widely known that she was struggling to find stable housing after being kicked out of her mother-in-law's home. As Moran's life spiraled further, reports surfaced that she had passed away due to a suspected heroin overdose.
Best known as Joni Cunningham, she was found dead in Harrison County, Indiana this weekend. She was 56 years old. Chris Martinez looks back on her life and career.
While the death cause was initially unknown, the sad circumstances of her last days did much to create a portrait of a once high-profile actress reduced to poverty. Following her death, Winkler was one of the first to publicly offer a eulogy in her honor. he expressed his sadness over her struggles, reportedly saying that she would now finally have the peace she had so desperately sought in life. When the bright lights fade and the cameras stop rolling, what becomes of those who once had it all? From glamour to the streets, to the outside world, Lonnie Willison seemed to have it all. Married to a Hollywood actor, regularly featured on the covers of fitness magazines, and appearing at glamorous red carpet events. But behind the polished image, her life was crumbling. Today, the once stunning model is unrecognizable, living on the streets of Los Angeles, struggling with addiction, homelessness, and severe mental health challenges.
About being homeless?
Yeah.
I get to interact more with nature, I guess.
Pictures of the 40-year-old resurfaced online where she was pulling a heavy shopping cart full of her possessions. One of her eyes appeared swollen shut, her face was worn, and she was missing multiple teeth. A cigarette clung to her lips as she wheeled her trolley through the streets, a far cry from the woman she once was. Lonnie, who had been homeless for several years, had previously been seen searching through dumpsters for food, an unimaginable reality for someone who once graced the covers of top fitness magazines. Her life began unraveling nearly a decade ago following a tumultuous split from Baywatch actor Jeremy Jackson. The couple had previously appeared to be in love, getting married in 2012 by a beautiful beach ceremony with their beloved white dog by their side. Jeremy, who achieved stardom as the child actor who portrayed Hobie Buchanan, the son of David Hasselhoff's character on Baywatch, was a celebrity. Lonnie, with her striking beauty and fit physique, had built a successful modeling career, often seen in athletic wear and swimwear spreads. On the surface, they looked like the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, their marriage was plagued by problems. Alcohol-fueled fights were all too frequent, and in August 2014, things took a horror show turn when police were dispatched to their residence following an alleged assault on Lonnie by Jeremy. Shortly after, their relationship came to a bitter end. Lonnie, however, remained silent on the matter until the following year, when Jeremy became housemates on Celebrity Big Brother in 2015. By that point, her life had already taken a downward spiral. Losing her cosmetic surgery job some months after the separation in 2014 was the first significant impact. Her mental state rapidly deteriorated, resulting in her being unable to take gigs. Soon, she ran up debt, and by 2016, she had lost her rented apartment and car and had no other option but to live in the street. With nowhere to go and no financial security, Lonnie developed an addiction to crystal methamphetamine. Her mental health worsened, and in a bizarre 2018 interview, she claimed to have been electrocuted in her former apartment. She stated a psychotic belief that her body was so electrified with electricity that she was a threat to people. Despite her visible struggles, Lonnie refused help from friends, family, and even strangers who wanted to assist her. It is also reported that she allegedly liked to look as dirty as she could get to prevent street sexual assault. She also expressed a deep sense of isolation, claiming that nobody cared about her and that she had no desire to see anyone. She reappeared in 2020 peering into bins hanging around Venice Beach, only a block away from multi-million-dollar celebrity residences, including Ben Affleck's mansion. The contrast between her reality and the wealth surrounding her was striking. Her once glamorous appearance was now a distant memory. Her hair was unkempt, her teeth were falling out, and her body bore the signs of years of drug use and hardship. How does the pressure of fame and personal demons eventually catch up with those who seem to have it all, leading them down a darker path than anyone could have imagined? From Superman's Lois Lane to battling bipolar disorder, Margot Kidder will forever be associated with the brave and sharp-tongued Lois Lane of the classic Superman films. However, far from the cameras and the red carpets, she was engaged in a more daunting fight than her character was notorious for. For years, Kidder struggled with bipolar disorder, a condition once referred to as manic depression, along with personal hardships that often made headlines. The actress died of old age at 69 at her house in Livingston, Montana. Her death, confirmed by People magazine, came as a shock, and the cause remained unknown at the time. Openness about difficulties was a defining feature of Kidder's personality, and in 1996, in an interview with People, she spoke of her life as a balance of extraordinary highs and wretched lows. She explained that although she had lived a meaningful life, there were lows of deep instability, which she called moments of madness. She also considered one of her most public mental health struggles, labeling it unforgettable and a very public spectacle. She even joked that she had felt like one of those people seen on New York street corners talking to imaginary aliens. Though her disappearance in 1996 became one of her most well-known incidents, it is not the only time she had faced difficulties since rising to fame in 1978's Superman. Over the years, she had endured personal and financial struggles, including multiple marriages and divorces, high-profile relationships, such as with comedian Richard Pryor and former Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, substance abuse, and a devastating car accident in 1990 that left her financially drained and partially paralyzed. Kidder believed that the root of her troubles lay in her bipolar disorder, which she once described as causing mood swings so intense that they could bring down a building. She was diagnosed for the first time with the illness by a psychiatrist in Los Angeles in 1988, but she was doubtful of the diagnosis and did not agree to take lithium, the drug prescribed in order to treat her condition.
It was a very different Margot Kidder who was found disheveled and disoriented in a Los Angeles backyard, deep in the grip of manic depression.
She subsequently described that if a person is in a manic state, it is difficult for them to accept that anything is amiss. She recalled how she felt invincible during these periods, full of energy and brimming with ideas, with little need for sleep. In 1996, a seemingly minor incident triggered one of the most severe episodes of her life. Losing a memoir that she had been working on for years to a computer virus left her in a black hole of despair. What started as deep distress quickly escalated into delusion. She flew to Los Angeles to consult a computer expert, only to be told that her lost files were unrecoverable. That news pushed her even further into paranoia. Meanwhile, she was sure that her first husband, writer Thomas McMahon, was not her friend, but a conspirator as she sat and waited for her return flight at the airport. She was certain that he, along with the CIA, was trying to kill her because her memoir contained powerful information. Sitting in an airport, she felt she was being followed by spies and assassins. All of a sudden, she started to yell at people, assuming they were watching her. By morning's early light, she was still in the airport, lost and exhausted. She told reporters from WBIR in Knoxville, Tennessee, she had been threatened by her ex-husband, who had hired someone to murder her. The station's anchorman later described the scene as heartbreaking. She was visibly distressed, unkempt, and desperate. Her paranoia led her to take extreme actions. At one point, she threw away her purse, fearing that a bomb had been planted inside it. She tried to get a taxi. She found herself with no money, and when she tried to obtain cash from a bank ATM, she was convinced that the machine was built to blow. Panicked, she ran. By the next afternoon, she managed to get into downtown Los Angeles, a distance over 20 miles from the airport. Weary and dispirited, she was taken in by a homeless man, Charlie, who invited her to his cardboard home. She later recalled that he treated her with incredible kindness. She was cold, hungry, and terrified, but he was with her, providing comfort during one of her life's darkest hours. Her ordeal didn't end there. The day after, an extra homeless man attacked her, pursuing to attack her. She explained that he kicked her in the abdomen and hit her with the face, thereby losing the last of her front tooth caps. In sheer desperation, she fought back and tried to reason with him, insisting that he was a good person who didn't truly want to hurt her. To her relief, the man eventually backed off. Meanwhile, her family and friends were growing increasingly frantic. Not hearing from her when she didn't make it back from LA, her agent, John Blake, contacted Maggie Kern. Maggie made countless phone calls working with the LA police in an effort to find her. She even went to the extent of dismantling her mother's cabin, searching painstakingly for any old phone books containing valuable contact information. At a certain time, the police told Maggie that they were tempted not to even find her mother alive. The uncertainty was devastating, However, Kidder's brother John remained optimistic. He told people at the time that despite everything, he never doubted that she would survive. He characterized her as being super strong and a fighter at heart. Did any of these people turn their financial woes around? Nicolas Cage opens up about his past financial struggles. Nicolas Cage is reflecting on one of the toughest periods of his life, when he found himself in deep financial trouble and had to work tirelessly to pay off millions in debt. Despite the hardships, the Oscar-winning actor never gave up.
And the Oscar is awarded to Nicolas Cage.
Choosing instead to take on as many roles as possible to dig himself out of the hole. During an interview on 60 Minutes, Cage admitted that he had been heavily invested in real estate. But when the market crashed, he wasn't able to sell in time.
I was overinvested in real estate. It wasn't because I spent $80 on an octopus. The real estate market crashed and I couldn't get out in time.
This left him in a difficult financial situation, owing around $6 million. He made it clear that he took full responsibility for his debts and worked hard to pay every penny back. He also pointed out that, despite the overwhelming amount he owed, he never filed for bankruptcy. The interviewer, Sharon Alfonsi, acknowledged how difficult that time must have been for him and suggested it must have felt like a dark chapter in his life. Cage agreed, saying that it was indeed a tough period. However, he explained that work was his saving grace, saying that no matter what he was going through, acting was always there to keep him going. He spoke about the series of direct-to-video films he made during that time, a move that many critics and fans questioned. He defended those roles, saying that even if the movies didn't turn out great, he always put in his best effort. He believed that audiences could see that he never just went through the motions. He always cared about his performances, regardless of the project. This wasn't the first time Cage had spoken about taking on roles for financial reasons. Back in August 2019, he gave an interview to the New York Times Magazine, where he was honest about the fact that money played a role in his decisions. He explained that while he couldn't break down the exact numbers or percentages, it was true that financial necessity sometimes influenced his choices. He explained that at times money was secondary, and at others it was primary. But he still felt he needed to know that no matter what had happened with the film, somehow he could offer an entertaining contribution to the screen. What does it take to maintain success once you've reached the top? How do we redefine success in a world where the most glamorous lives can be fleeting? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.